Troubleshooting. Faith, Episode 5, Battery Low. Main Scripture, Isaiah 40:31. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. Sometimes your faith is not failing. You are simply tired. You have been praying, serving, encouraging others, carrying responsibilities, and continuing to show up while something inside you has been slowly running low. Spiritual exhaustion does not always look like quitting. Sometimes it looks like functioning without feeling, praying without expectation, worshiping without engagement, serving while secretly empty. You can still be moving and have very little strength remaining. A phone with a low battery can still operate. It can still receive calls, send messages, and open applications, but everything becomes slower. The screen becomes dimmer. Eventually, certain functions begin shutting down. That is what can happen when the soul has been running without restoration. Your patience becomes shorter. Your discernment becomes cloudy. Small problems begin feeling enormous. Correction feels heavier. Waiting feels unbearable. Things you once handled with grace now push you toward frustration. That does not always mean you have lost your faith. It may mean your strength needs to be renewed. Isaiah does not say, "Those who wait upon the Lord will never become tired." It says, "They shall renew their strength." Renewal means there was strength before, but something drained it. God is not condemning you for becoming weary. He is inviting you back to the source. Some of you have been calling yourselves weak because you cannot carry today what you carried yesterday. But maybe yesterday's strength was meant for yesterday's assignment. Today you need fresh strength. Yesterday's oil cannot continually sustain today's pressure. Yesterday's encounter cannot replace today's intimacy. Yesterday's word may still be true, but your soul still needs present communion with God. You were never created to live from one spiritual charge forever. Jesus himself withdrew from the crowds. He stepped away from demands, voices, needs, and expectations to spend time with the Father. If Jesus made room for withdrawal, why do we treat rest like disobedience? Some people only feel valuable when they are producing, so they keep pouring because stopping makes them feel guilty. They keep helping everybody else while ignoring the warning signs within themselves. They call it sacrifice, but sometimes it is self-neglect wearing spiritual clothing. God did not call you to become everybody's source. He called you to remain connected to Him so that what you pour comes from overflow, not depletion. There's a difference between being poured out and being drained. Being poured out is surrender. Being drained is continuing to give without returning to the place of replenishment. The enemy understands that a tired believer may misinterpret everything. Exhaustion can make delay feel like denial. It can make silence feel like abandonment. It can make correction feel like rejection. It can make a temporary struggle feel like a permanent future. That is why you should not make permanent decisions from a depleted place. Elijah stood on Mount Carmel, called down fire, confronted false prophets, and witnessed the power of God. But shortly afterward, he became afraid, ran into the wilderness, and asked God to let him die. The powerful prophet was not suddenly without purpose. He was exhausted. And notice how God responded. God did not begin with a rebuke. He gave Elijah rest. He gave him food. He gave him water. Then he spoke to him, because sometimes your spirit does not need another demand. Your vessel needs restoration. Some things you are calling spiritual warfare may be weariness. Some thoughts you are trying to cast down may be intensified because you have not rested. Some emotions you are ashamed of may be warning lights telling you that your internal battery is low. A warning light is not condemnation, it is mercy. It is the system telling you something must be addressed before complete shutdown occurs. God may be telling you to slow down before your body forces you to stop. He may be telling you to become quiet before the noise within you becomes louder than his voice. He may be asking you to release what you were never assigned to carry, because some of your exhaustion is not coming from your assignment. It is coming from responsibilities you accepted without asking God whether they belong to you. Every need is not your assignment. Every emergency is not your responsibility. Every person who reaches for you is not entitled to unlimited access to you. Jesus loved everyone, but he did not allow everyone to determine his movement. He moved according to the Father's will. So ask yourself, what has been draining me? Where have I been pouring without replenishing? What am I carrying that God never placed in my hands? Have I mistaken constant activity for faithfulness? Rest does not mean you have lost momentum. Sometimes rest is how God protects your momentum. A pause is not always punishment. Sometimes a pause is where God restores your sight, your strength, your sensitivity, and your soundness. You do not need to feel guilty for needing renewal. You are a vessel, not the source, and vessels must return to the place where they are filled. God is not disappointed because you are tired. He is concerned about what exhaustion may cause you to believe. So before you declare that the promise is over, rest. Before you walk away from the assignment, rest. Before you decide that God has forgotten you, return to his presence. You may discover that your faith was never dead. Your battery was simply low. Next episode, remove the virus. Until then, sit with this. Not every thought that enters your mind belongs to you. Some thoughts enter through pain, fear, rejection, and repeated exposure. What you continue allowing to operate internally will eventually affect how your faith functions externally. The next breakthrough may not begin with changing your circumstances. It may begin when God exposes and removes a thought pattern that has been quietly corrupting your spiritual system.